talking about the different phases, what they'll all look like, what's under construction currently versus what is coming up soon. So if you haven't seen the videos I've posted, we'll talk about it a little bit here now. So it's pretty much broken up into three phases, phase one and phase two. Those two different phases will be going on inside the building. And then you'll have the arena, mixed use, entertainment district that will be outside of the arena. So currently, phase one under construction, everything going on right now at the Lenovo Center, expected to be completed at the start of the 25-26 NHL season, except for one thing, which I'll touch on in a moment. But we'll be getting that new 300 level view bar, a marketplace up in the 300 level. You'll get those ice level bunker suites, and then you'll have some of the 300 level concourses updated. But overall, those renovations will be taking place throughout the course of the entire season, since that's a lot to do. So if you see some stuff under construction during the season, it'll be done by the end of the season, but should be getting that new view bar and the bunker suites at the start of the season. Any thoughts on the current construction going on and just a different Lenovo Center that we'll end up getting here in a few months?
This place is going to look a lot different than what people grew up with in the past, almost 20, 30 years of the league. You're getting a lot more of an entertainment geared experience that kind of caters to all sorts of different fans. If you're somebody who likes to go and, have a sort of bar experience, that's an option now, which I know a few AHL teams have started kind of implementing that. I know that's a big thing with baseball teams having their little view bars in their stadiums. I love that they're kind of implementing this just because I think it draws in, or at least separates some of the fan base a little bit, not necessarily in a bad way. I think you've kind of, again, you're gearing towards the fans who are maybe looking for the more, not to say watching hockey isn't fun, but you're looking at a almost kind of like bro-y kind of hangout at a bar. You're drinking, you're able to kind of talk. You're not surrounded by people who are like, shut up, we're trying to watch the game. And just kind of in this situation where you can talk freely. It's meant to be a situation where you're kind of chatting about the game, you're drinking beer, you're having fun. Whereas, kind of not closing them off entirely to the rest of the stadium or the arena as well. I personally love the idea of the view bar. I'm not a huge fan of the bunker suites.
Yeah, I think going back what you said, Bailey, I think for the fact that you said, you see a lot of the teams now, like there's teams in other sports, like I know the Guardians and a few other teams are adding, like you said, they're ripping out sections, doing these whole garden areas or these big bar areas, because I think it goes into the people want to. It's more they're trying to make Lenovo Center. Holy crap! That a more you see it's a lot more sociable now. Like people want to go and I want to go to the game, but I also want to be sociable with it too. So like you have that experience of I want to go watch a period. Hey, let's go get a beer and let's hang out, watch the game, but still like you said, chat it up and not be in the seats. I know that there's a good number of sections that are going to be losing their season. I know people probably going to lose their season tickets and stuff like that. How to figure out how to get that rearranged, but like you said, I think it also adds possibly more fans to the arena too, because maybe some aren't getting seats. Maybe they just want to get those. Hey, I just want to go to. Maybe they're going to have certain tickets for. Hey, we just want to go to the bunker suites, or hey, we just want to go to the standing room only. And then maybe you could add more fans to that rather than just straight up seats. Because like you said, this arena has been around since the late 90s. Like there's really not been a lot done outside of maybe a few restaurants here and there. So I think it's them understanding the dynamics of where fandoms or social events are. It's like, hey, we want you to come to the arena. Maybe if you don't want to watch the full game, or maybe you want to come have a social experience while being at the game, this is an option for you instead of being like one or the other. Now they're kind of bringing in those middle of the road. Maybe it's the casuals or maybe the ones that want to go. Maybe just don't want to be sitting in a seat the whole time. There's giving a lot more options.
I think there's also something to be said about this being an arena that outside of Canes hockey is geared towards college students. So you're getting obviously, those who are legally allowed to drink. NC State's a pretty big school. and D1 schools know how to kind of put on entertainment. And
Yeah.
and so there is, I think, something to be said about that college crowd kind of being catered to here as well.
And also all the shows and concerts that are going to be in the arena too.
Mhm.
They might have some people that are going to be hanging out in those bars and bunker suites at the concerts maybe too. So I think it's the hurricane. It's not really just the Hurricanes. I think it's just the building in general and all the people have to co-occupy the arena. It's like, how can we usher in more fans that maybe are maybe not diehards, but ones who still want to be there, and it's a social event rather than just sports. They're kind of trying to mix everything together to bring in all different aspects of people who want to go and experience those type of things.
Mhm.
Which to that side of things, I think you talk about this day and age, people want experiences. It's not necessarily just going to the game to watch it. They want to be entertained, socialize, all of that. Which, if we follow the timeline of everything, leads to the entertainment district, which will be outside of the arena. That construction is expected to start in early 2026. They have to hold off on it in case NC State does make the college football playoff this year. They need to make sure that they have ample parking to host a home game if something like that were to happen. So they have to get through that. And once that happens, then they're good to go. So it's probably going to be early 2026 when they start construction out there. So some of the key features of the entertainment district is the 2 parking decks, the tailgate zone, 4,300 seat music venue, over 100,000 square feet of entertainment and lifestyle retail space, 150,000 square feet of office space, a 150 key hotel, and 200 plus apartments. That is kind of expanded over the course of 10 to 15 years. I think they're going to work on that tailgating zone, the music venue, I believe the parking decks as the first part of that expansion of the entertainment district. Thoughts on that? Because I know everyone's first thought is, well, we're losing parking and parking is going to be miserable. Is that the first thing that comes to your guys' mind? Are you excited for everything to expand around the Lenovo Center? How are we feeling?
Oh, if only Kat was here to talk about the parking situation, because I know
Oh
that's
my.
a qualm she's had over the last couple of years, is just how miserable getting out of that arena especially can be sometimes, or at least out of that area. I personally, as much as, the parking that does suck, I like that they're at least accommodating some of that with parking decks. My personal eye kind of gets drawn toward the tailgate zone. I love that they're leaning into that specific culture that the Hurricanes have cultivated around this team, and that being such a big part of what makes this fan base, essentially. You're giving fans a space to almost formally do what they're already doing, except just making it potentially a little more organized and a little more community oriented. There's something to be said about working your tailgate out of the back of your car, but also like having that formal space to do that, uh, just set out, I think is wonderful, and I love that they're leaning into that. The 4,300 seat music venue is something I almost wish they had when they were putting on the Stadium Series. I think
Yep.
that having that around for the Stadium Series would have been incredible. Imagine what they could have done with a situation like that. I know they put on Hootie and the Blowfish inside formerly PNC Arena, but having that outside space with as decently nice as it was that day, from what I
Mhm.
remember,
Yeah, it
that
wasn't too
that would
bad.
have been that would have been wonderful.
Yeah, I know that night was absolutely freezing, but yeah, during the actual tailgate, pretty good.
Oh, those seats,
Um, yeah, yeah.
the metal seats.
Um, I like the idea because you look at it this way, and I kind of agree with Bailey. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get the parking deck, you got the formal tailgating areas. Yeah, you're gonna lose some parking, but let's be honest. When you see all the drone shots, you see all the wide angles. It's the arena, the football stadium, and miles of parking.
Mhm.
They're. I think it was Doug that said it, and unfortunately, I wasn't there for that episode. But they want to make sure that fans can go, hey, we're gonna go to the game, but instead of having to drive to downtown Raleigh or having to go somewhere else to go get our hotel, they're gonna have a hotel right there. Like they're putting in restaurants, they're putting in other stuff. Like they're making that a destination, not just for the hockey, but for other local businesses to kind of bring that downtown feeling to the arena. And I think that's kind of something that's very innovative when potentially more jobs are going to open up. But like I said, with the new restaurants, you're going to have apartments. So people are going to be like, oh, hey, let's go to like, I know I have some friends who live in Cincinnati that literally live like, if you walk up in between the two apartment buildings, the ballpark is right there. It's like, it's a 5-minute walk to where the Reds play. That's kind of the same situation you might see with the Hurricanes, where if your apartments are within not even a half mile, maybe closer, you can walk to the arena and walk right back. If you're at the hotel, you don't have to drive 10, 15 minutes to the arena or however far your hotel is. Like they're making it a destination, not just for sports, but for people to come visit and just experience things. It's going back to the experience. And I think being able to accommodate a downtown feeling near the arena with shops and restaurants and parking and hotels and all that stuff, you're making it, instead of just an arena and parking, you're making it a place to go to and stay at longer than a couple hours for a game. You're actually there for a few hours, maybe a couple of days. Who knows?
It will be nice because you'll kind of have the in-between of, if you want to go and formally sit down at a restaurant, pregame a little bit there at a restaurant or bar, you can. If you want to go for the tailgating option, you'll have that available as well. As Doug mentioned when he was on the episode last year as well, nothing on the NC State side is going to get touched because that's all university property. So all that parking will still be available. Just the main paved parking lot around the Lenovo Center currently, that's getting updated. But yeah, long term, to be able to just leave a Canes game and then just walk to a bar or restaurant right after will be fantastic, and not having to drive somewhere. Even though the spots are still fine that we go to now, it's the convenience of everything will be very nice.
And I think that's something that the Hurricanes are definitely looking at leaning into when they look at arenas around the league as well, too. Because you go to almost any other arena and there's going to be a restaurant within walking distance where you don't have to walk down what is that, Edward Mills, just to get out of the arena lot. And then you have to walk. I can't even imagine what that walk looks like. Whereas you know, in a downtown setting, whether that's, you know, what I'm familiar with in Colorado, whether that's, you know, going like looking at a New York, whether that's looking at a Nashville, even St. Louis, as much as I might not that I've ever been, but from what I've heard, might not be the best city, but they've got restaurants within walking distance for fans to enjoy before heading over to the arena to have that kind of, you know, eating experience. And then even afterwards too. And I love that, you know, while the Hurricanes are leaning into that tailgating experience and staying true to their culture and their fan base that way, that it's very versatile based on, you know, where you're at in the fan base, whether you like sitting outside cooking on a smoker for people to walk by and just grab food whenever, versus, you know, going to sit down and enjoying a beer in a serving type setting.
So we will have that coming up. And to recap, phase 1, 300 level / everything ice level, behind the scenes going on currently. Most of it expected to be done at the start of the season. Entertainment district renovation construction starting in early 2026. And now we're moving on to phase 2 back inside of the arena. This will be completed throughout the next 2 summers. So this will kind of take care of everything in the 100 and 200 level section. As Brian Fork explained in his press conference, you're kind of going from the top and the bottom of the arena, and then you're meeting in the middle when you're doing the renovations. So phase 2, over the next 2 summers, you'll get new lower bowl seating reconfiguration, so some new seats, maybe some reconfiguration of how the seats themselves are set up, refreshes to the existing suites, updates to the 100 and 200 level concourses, some potential new entrances and new escalators to help with the flow of people, and a potential to update the exterior of the building as well. Of those things, is there 1 or 2 things that stands out to you guys kind of as they meet in the middle for phase 2?
I think for me, I think the flow is gonna be a lot easier too, because like I said, and plus, you're talking like new places to eat inside the arena. Of course, because there's escalators are not. It's basically you got steps and elevators and stuff like. They don't really have a lot of other maneuvers to walk around up there. And I'm curious to see what the new outside of the arena is going to look like too, because we all know what it is. It's basically the main entrances, and there's just nothing but concrete on the outside. So I'm really curious to see how that's all going to play out and what the configuration of the concourses are going to be like. Are they going to be a little bit more open? Shops are going to be different, stuff like that. And also the seating too. I'm really curious to see how the seating configuration is going to be, because there are some arenas that are pretty tight of packing people in. I wonder how much kind of room they're going to give the fans as well. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. They are sparing no expense to updating this thing to be very good for the next 3, 4, 5 decades.
I love that this is really fan oriented. The one thing that I kind of stick with from a media perspective solely is the player experience here. There's not much that's improving Lenovo from that perspective. And that's the one thing I will say that I maybe would have liked to see in these renovation updates. Because from the player survey that's put out every year, Lenovo is notorious for being hated amongst players as a place to visit, solely because of the player experience. And I know they've done a few different renovations, and I will say from past years that I have been in certain areas, it looks better than it was, but it's still not what it could be, I think, from a player standpoint and from a player's perspective. So that's
Home ice
maybe
advantage.
yeah, but there's
I get to test that away locker room is
Zach. We could with the 5 media members that there were when I was in town, we could all barely fit in there with the rest of the players. It was miserable, and that's what it expanded too. It used to be smaller. And so it just, I almost would have, even with a home ice advantage, like just looking at a different arena, it could be better. I'm
curious to see what other arenas are like for their away locker rooms. Like, I want to see like what a Nashville's or a St. Louis or a named other team that has their away locker rooms situated. But I mean, hey man,
it's the way that the arena it was built originally. It wasn't, to my knowledge, originally built to house an NHL team. And so they didn't even think to put an away locker room in a situation where they could access it from the bench. Having to skate to that corner, I can see why that would be inconvenient. So, and that's all I'm going. That's the only qualm that I have with these renovation updates. I like that they're improving the fan experience. I will say, adding the escalators, I love. Adding refreshing the suites. I grew up in those suites. That's where I attended my first hockey game, and it was an amazing experience. So I love that they're making that experience better for that demographic of fans. And then food and beverage options, all I'll say is, as long as it's not grossly overpriced, I love that too. So
we just need more options. That's the only thing. Just give us a little bit more options. But other than that, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm excited for, hopefully between the entrances, escalators, it just improves the flow of fans. Because if you go out into the concourse during an intermission, it is brutal to make it around there. So hopefully the flow of people certainly improves during this time.
That's kind of why I don't really do the press box a whole lot, because it takes a while to get back, because it's only elevators to get up there. And if there's a million people going up and down that thing, because it's for public and for press to certain levels, that does take a little bit of time. So I'm kind of glad they're kind of reconfiguring some things in that general sense.